The film review section. Here we are. This week, Bill and Ted Face the Music. So, Sean.
Yes.
You watched this a while ago.
I did.
And you wanted to do this for the pod. And I was like, I'm worried about this. I went out yesterday and I bought it. And then on the back, it said, security warning, please remove before microwaving this product.
That's not what you want to see on a DVD.
Anyway, Bill and Ted Face the Music. I fucking love this film.
I'm glad to hear it,
Again, swearing, but I fucking love this film, and thank you for recommending it, Sean. It's amazing.
You know what? I was worried when I watched it because I was like, I don't know if Billy's going to like this, and I love it. And I'm like, this could be our first sort of, not argument because we're grown-ups, but this could be our first debate, like, and disagree with things.
Yeah, well, I can hate it if you want. Anyway, I missed the synopsis. Bill and Ted, they're back. They're pretty much the same. They haven't really changed, although they've aged quite a bit. And Keanu Reeves look fucking weird without a beard. And they've got oppositely named daughters. They sort of switch. They're supposed to be writing this song that they've always been supposed to be writing that's going to unite the world and everything and all across space and time, but they still haven't written it yet. So they go backwards in time. They go forwards in time, actually. The daughters go backwards. Everyone goes backwards and forwards in time. It's all very timey-wimey and very confusing, and I don't really know what's going on. But they dot about, they try and get the song, and maybe they'll get the song, maybe they won't get the song, and that's this film. And I loved it.
Before we get on to the details, I just wanted a perfect opportunity to drop my second of 2 in a row Doctor Who references. I don't know if you know, you said timey-wimey. That is a doctor.
I did.
Yeah, it was on purpose. Nice.
That was on purpose, yeah. That was a little thing for just for you there, Sean.
Good, thank you. I appreciate that.
I should have winked, but maybe you can't see me.
The first thing I wrote for what I liked about this film, and it's, because let's be honest, right? We're reviewing Bill and Ted. We're not reviewing an Oscar-winning sort of amazing script, amazing performances.
Yeah, not all movies are Citizen Kane or trying to be Citizen Kane or trying to be about writing Citizen Kane.
Exactly. So the first thing I've written down is, I love how Missy is marrying her way through the family.
that for me, I was like, the perfect opening. I've just written down fantastic opening, Missy, because and it brings you back into Bill the way we know Bill. He's got a really warped way of understanding the world.
Yeah.
But it completely makes sense to us and him explaining how Missy's been related to him and Ted, and how he's related to Ted throughout the whole of since the last time we saw him is amazing.
Because I don't know if I can't remember what it is, but it's kind of like that makes Bill his own uncle, and like Bill's dad his own nephew or something.
I think Bill's dad's his own son or something, is he? Because he's marrying Bill's. It's bonkers. It's brilliant, but that sets the tone, though, doesn't it? That lets you know that this is silly.
Yeah.
Come in, sit down, have a drink, enjoy the food. But this is what you're in for, and it's perfect. You know, he gets into that, and you've got those two after all these years stood next to each other, and they're exactly the same. And you may not want them to be exactly the same because this is a reboot, remakey, re-thingy. Rehash? It's a sequel. No, it's an actual sequel, isn't it? It's not a continuation, yeah.
One thing I've written down is, I was going to mention it a bit later, but part of it's kind of, you're thinking, it's a bit sad. These two guys that haven't grown up, they're still in this deluded sort of thing. They're both in their 40s or whatever they are now, and it's kind of like, oh man, you know. But in real life, you'd be worried. And you'd be like, I wish you kind of grew up a little bit and stopped calling each other dude and stuff like that. But then, if that didn't happen in this film, I'd have been thoroughly disappointed. If they were anything different, if they were grown up, I wouldn't have liked it. Yeah,
because you don't want to see them in offices, do you? You know, like depressed about their jobs, and then, you know, Ted jumps out of a window because he's just worrying about stocks. You know, it just wouldn't work. And that, I think, is what this new sort of generation of remakes has kind of got right. You know, sequels or whatever, you know, you Cobra Kai's and this, and I can't think of anything else, but...
Sequels 20 years in the making.
Yeah, they just bring the characters back and they say, right, this is what you loved about them, so we're not going to change that. We are going to move things on a bit. We're going to tell a slightly different story, but we're still going to stick to what we loved about it.
And I think that's what this film nailed. And I like, because at the end of the second one, you assume that little Bill and little Ted are boys. And I love how this film's kind of like, well, we're going to make them girls, but it's still going to work.
Yeah.
Ted's dad mentions, like, you're not grown up. You're still living in this fantasy. You even called your daughters Little Bill and Ted for a while. I like how he dropped that in for a while.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to, because I took the time to write it down, so I want to, the song they play at the wedding right at the start.
Yeah.
I say it's song. And
I liked it.
It's called That Which Binds Us Through Time, the Chemical, Physical and Biological Nature of Love, an Exploration of the Meaning of Meaning. Part 1.
So I won't go into too many sort of like specifics about the film, like spoilers in any way, but yeah, it was so refreshing just to see them back. And you know, it takes like everything that I liked about the first film and everything that I liked about the second film and just smushes it all up into one sort of nice lovely ball of silliness.
When I watched it, I read some of the customer reviews.
Yeah.
People are saying, "Oh, this is just too silly. They've ruined it. It wasn't what Bill and Ted is." And I'm like, "Have you watched the first two Bill and Teds? It's about two sort of stoner rockers who go back in time, and then the second one they go to heaven and hell." It's just like, it's not meant to be a serious film. If it was anything but silly, it wouldn't have been Bill and Ted.
I know. I mean, I've got one negative which I'll mention in non-spoilers, which is Billy. I thought she was way too much like a Ted caricature. And I love that actor. I think she's amazing. Well, they're amazing.
Well, I've put the characters, the daughters were spot on, not copying, but they were recognisable. But I get what you mean. She was maybe a little too Tedish.
I thought Samara Weaving absolutely nailed she's called Ted, but she's Bill. She's Bill's daughter, and she it's so confusing. But yeah, I thought she nailed that, and I just thought Bridgette Lundy-Paine was just too over the top. It was the movement more than anything else. The actual voice, and it was the physicality of her performance. That was the only thing I didn't really enjoy. And I think she's a fantastic actor, but yeah, didn't quite gel for me. So my general feelings: if you love this film, if you love Bill and Ted, you might love this film. If you've moved on and your sense of humour maybe isn't the same as it was the last time you watched Bill and Ted, maybe you won't like it, but give it a go, because it's definitely worth a go. It's definitely worth a bash, I'd say.
It is just fun.
Oh yeah.
Without being like trying to get too serious, we all need a laugh at the minute. So watch some silly films, and if you fancy a silly film, sometimes you might laugh because it's funny, sometimes you might laugh because it's a bit cringy, sometimes you might have one of those laughs that say, "That's not funny, so I'm just going to laugh just, because I think I should." Then this is the film for you. Because, I mean, there is bits that just like, oh, come on now, but what else do you want from a Bill and Ted film?
Exactly. Budget was $25 million, and it made $38.2 million, so we're probably not going to see another one of these, so we might as well enjoy this one.
Did it not get it got released was it not just as the first sort of pandemic kicked in?
Yeah.
So yeah,
aye.
That's
it's released in lockdown. So spoilers now. If you haven't seen this film, go away, watch it, come back. If you don't care about spoilers, carry on listening.
Don't have a go at us when you say, "Oh, you spoiled it," because
absolutely,
spoil it.
Because we told you, fair warned, all in, fair warned. Spoilers as from now. Dennis Caleb McCoy.
Character in the film. I don't care what you say. Fight me. He needs his own spin-off.
And I wrote it down. My favourite line was when Bill turns around and goes, "Okay, dude, we get it. You're grateful a somehow dead robot named Dennis Caleb McCoy." Come on.
Oh, man.
And then he starts apologising on that cliff top as well. It's just like, "I'm really sorry." And it's just, Alex Winter absolutely nails this film.
Oh, he does.
Everything he does, like his facial expressions when Dennis Caleb McCoy is trying to apologise to everyone, are amazing. The other thing I noticed about Alex Winter on the second watch through as well was when he's doing the British accent.
Well, I've written down here because I said Dennis Caleb McCoy needs his own spin-off, but I think Posh Bill and Ted need one too. Even though they're technically...
It's when they go back... It's when they're taking off the makeup and stuff, and normal Bill and Ted come through, and
He's on Dean's spot.
yeah, why haven't you taken the song back to the past? He's just flouncing around.
Oh man, love it. I go on the top flamboyant he is as well. It's brilliant. Because that's one thing. That's one thing I've written down. But this is me like looking at it too deeply. Because the posh like English Bill and Ted say they went back to the medieval times to hide out or to live or whatever. But if that was the case, it would have been speaking French. But this is a Bill and Ted film. We're not looking for historical accuracies. So that's fine.
There is absolutely no accuracy in anything with this. There's just that makes no sense. I was thinking about it and I was like, if you try and understand the time travel in this, you will get a headache, you'll go blind, you'll pass out, and you'll wake up in the future and possibly a different dimension, because it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Yeah. And the one thing I remember from the original ones is that the clock is always running in San Dimas,
right? Yeah,
which makes absolutely no sense. Because that's why they're on a time scale. Like, we've only got 7 minutes to sort this out. Yeah. But you have a time machine. I love that about Bill and Ted. Like, they've only got like so many hours to sort this out, but they have a time machine.
Well, because that's the thing I was confused by. I think because I was writing it down, but then I think I've figured out. I answered my own question. Because I've put down here like,
what's that?
The keeps in the doors are 24, but then from now till when the kids were introduced in 1991, that's 29 years. So I was thinking, what's happened there? Then they said they played at the Grand Canyon 25 years ago, before the daughters were born, before they were successful, they sold out the Grand Canyon. I was very confused. But then, in the second one, they jump 6 years in the future to learn how to play instruments. Then they bring their daughters back. But the daughters are like 1 or 2, and I was getting really confused. And then I wrote, well, it doesn't matter.
I can't believe you actually tried to put a timeline together for Bill and Ted.
I just wanted to know why they're saying the daughters are 24 when they're not, they're 29. But then they jumped into the future and then they came back with kids, so that made sense. But
they address it with, like, when they go, oh, let's do something that we can't predict, and then they put buckets on their heads and start running around. They're like, oh no, they're doing the thing so that we can't follow them. It's like they just ran off straight in front of you.
That's a bit one thing about that. In that house, it's Dave Grohl's house, and then so
Dave Grohl's in this.
Yeah, but then one thing that got me as well. Again, it doesn't matter because it's a Bill and Ted film, but it's like he opens the door and they go, Dave Grohl, and he goes, "Who are you?" Well, we were told they had a massive successful career. He didn't know who they were. They were probably his inspiration. How did he not know who they were?
But however, I can make sense of that. Not that we really need to, because it's a Bill and Ted film and nothing makes sense. But at the end, it's a multi-dimensional film as well, so maybe that was Dave Grohl from a universe where Bill and Ted don't exist.
Yeah, that's a point.
Look at that. I've logicked my way around it.
Oh, man.
Clock is always running in San Dimas. That's the most important thing to remember.
Oh, honestly.
I really...
Go.
You go.
Oh, hey. You go.
No, you hang up. No, I was going to say that, what's his name? The trumpet player, Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
Him and Jimi Hendrix try and make sense of it when they're outside Mozart's house. Sat there going, he goes, so wait a minute, you're trying to write a song for the future that's actually in the past, but to save the future. So you've come from our future into my present, which is your past. And we're now all in this past, which is actually our present, to get someone from the past, which is this present, to take to the future to write this song. It's like, wow.
Honestly, it's genius. And even that alone, you just said there, Jimi Hendrix and Louis Armstrong go to get Mozart. It sounds like the start of a joke.
I loved that. I think was my favourite part of the film when they were outside Mozart's house and Jimi Hendrix starts playing Mozart on the guitar. That really reminded me of. Do you remember Canon Rock from years ago? I loved it. Everyone with a guitar was all over when YouTube first started. I think, wasn't it? It was all over the internet.
I think I downloaded that onto my phone just because it was like back in the day.
I loved that bit, and I kept watching. On the second run through, because I've watched it twice now, once whilst writing the notes for this because I just loved it so much. But I was just thinking, this must have been really difficult to perform because you can see that therapy scene with Gillian Bell. She's amazing in that scene and in those scenes. The therapy scene was just perfect.
It's like, we both love you. Whatever was it you say? Can you see
we love you
to your wives? And he's like, no, I think you've misunderstood. And then he goes to do it, but just says the same thing, but in a different order.
yeah, I think I'm going to try one. Yeah, I and Ted love you and Joanna.
You know what's great about that, right? Like, they're both, like, people say what you want about Keanu Reeves, right? A lot of these, the dark and brooding sort of quiet characters, and Ted always seems so, like, off, completely different to other things I've seen him in. And he totally brought it back. And you can tell he was just an older Ted, and he was a bit slower, but he was still the essence of Ted. But Alex Winter, especially like old Bill, in the old folks home, the pair of them, in a silly film, those performances were amazing.
They were. Like, I've never seen Alex Winter in anything else, I don't think. He might have popped up in like a sitcom or something, but...
I don't know if I might be thinking about somebody else, but I'm sure I read that he stepped away from acting to go behind the camera.
Yeah, I thought I had something like that as well.
This is the first thing he's been in since like 1993 or 4.
Right. But he's so good.
Oh, he's amazing. Because he was a bit more Bill than Keanu Reeves was Ted. Because Keanu Reeves, he was Ted again. But this was Ted that was older a bit. But this was still like Bill. I think it's just pretty much the same. In a good way. In all the good ways. But the old us's. I love how they brought us's back, because I had the evil robot us's.
The good robot us's and the evil robot us's.
Then they've got the past us's, the future us's, the other us's.
I don't like these us's.
Yeah. And I love how Ted was battling with all of his us's. Ted just had a conflict with himself all the time, and he didn't know why.
He has performance anxiety in front of himself as well, in front of his older self. It's like...
And I love how Bill's like, I like that other me, but the other me's a dick.
It's really good. I loved as well. I didn't notice it the first time through, but I did love the second time through how every time they meet up with a new us, that they get the song. Like, they solve it. They actually get the song from that. One of them gives them the song. Like the British Bill and Ted give them the song, and like the prison Bill and Ted. They've written the song with all the inmates. I mean, it's not a song. I really loved like the hell stuff as well.
I loved Death's intro, and I couldn't remember when Death came into it, but because I didn't notice it the first time I watched it, but I noticed it the second time. It's when Ted's dad gets shot by Dennis Caleb McCoy, and he's going down to hell. And he looks to his left or right, and Death's just floating there. It's perfect.
I love the fact that Death's been demoted as well because he helped his friends out.
Oh man. And I love how Death became a diva. And he was doing it for 40 minute bass solos.
40 minutes. Too pale to cry.
Oh man. I want him to release an album of Death songs. Just like Death's bass riffs. Oh man.
That would be amazing. Death is just... they just use him so well in this. Because when they look through to him as well, and he's playing all these games by himself, like practicing. Scotch by himself. He's just trying to, like, in case they challenge him. That's just it's just what I loved about all this is it just gives you everything that you loved from the other two films, and not in like a. It's fan service in the best way. You know, there's a lot of this going around with like other films, like your Star Warses and Marvel films and things like that. And people can play down fan service, but this is fan service in its most beautiful and precious form, and we want to keep this alive wherever we can.
There's fan service where they're expecting to see this person or for this to happen, and it's done in a way that's too on the nose. It's like, look, we did that. Do you remember that? That's that. But this film is like, you want Bill and Ted? You've got Bill and Ted. It's not sort of like, oh, do you remember this? Do you remember that? They'll touch on things, because on the end of Bill and Ted 2, because I watched the other two the other week to go like back a bit. At the end of the second one, it's like they perform on the moon, and then but in this one, when everyone's kind of dropping out of time and going all over the place, there's an astronaut knocks on the window, just little things like that.
Yeah.
It's not totally obvious, because I never thought about that until the second, because I watched it, then I went back and watched the other two. They went and played on the moon, that's subtle. I don't know if that was intentional, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But it was when death came into it, it was just like, I love how they went into this whole other backstory about, you did this and you did that, and you left you chucked me up the band, and it's like, because he was getting too much of a diva. Death was being a diva, and he just like, was it 40 minute
40-minute bass solos, yeah. Those were the best parts of the show. That's the only reason people came to see it. I was Wild Stallions. So good.
It's a silly film, but when they sort of bury the hatchet and they have like a group hug, you're like, oh, you're happy for them. Like,
Dennis is just tailing death around as well, like Dennis Caleb McCoy. It's like, you go over there and dance, Dennis.
When I first watched it, right, I don't know if I said, was it you? No, I think it was my brother. I sent him a message just saying, I've watched the new Bill and Ted. All I'm going to say is Dennis Caleb McCoy. And I don't think he replied.
That'll make me laugh forever now, those 3 words, those Dennis Caleb McCoy. You could say that to me at any point and I'll just burst out laughing and spit beer all over your face.
Because there's a bit of one of his quotes as well, is when they're all in hell and they decide, right, we need to go up. So they get into Ted's dad's police van. That's like, let's rock. And then they're shooting up to her. And Dennis says, it's cool when you said let's rock because it made me want to rock. But it's delivery. It's just so like, because he's this scary, like, massive robot that can like just pop into time and that. And he's like,
laser death machine.
Yeah, and he's got this proper scary robot voice. And then all of a sudden he's like, my name is Dennis. Dennis McCoy.
Dennis Caleb McCoy. Dennis McCoy. Yeah. Well, it's actually Dennis Caleb McCoy. That's my full name. I love that they managed to get George Carlin into it as well. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I put is like, maybe not a negative, but a nitpick. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, well, does the new future person have to be his daughter? Because he mentions his daughter, I think, in one of the other ones. Mm-hmm. The daughter's name in this is Kelly. I don't think I wrote it down. But that's his daughter's real name in real life.
All right, okay.
So I think that's why.
Yeah, I mean, because in a film where they've got time machines, they could have gone to see Rufus at any time. Yeah. Because he exists in time. You know, so it's. I actually thought when they were making it, I was like, how are they going to get around not having Rufus in it? Because he was my favourite character in the cartoon as well, Rufus.
Well, you know what? I can't remember a lot of the cartoon. I've watched it obviously when I was younger, but I can't remember. But that's another, because I was thinking the other day, all the stuff that they said that probably happened in the cartoon that they said happened at the end of the second one. Mm. And they never touch on any of it, because you think by now all the stuff that they said they did at the end of the second one, they would have done by now, but they haven't. But what I've written down is I love like what they're meant to do. Mm. The daughters are doing what they should be doing.
Yeah, aye.
Their mission is to write this song that will unite the world and put balance to the universe and all that kind of stuff. So they go around looking for the song, but the daughters are trying to make the song. Yeah. But I remember when I watched the trailer, how they kept saying like, oh, you know, the song played by Preston and Logan. They never said Bill and Ted. Yeah. And I was like, even when I watched the trailers, I went, it's going to be the daughters, but I like that. That doesn't bother me. And that's cool. But then I can't remember, even though I watched the second and first one, did they say, does Rufus say Bill, the song, like Bill and Ted?
No, it's Wild Stallions. I'm pretty sure it's always Wild Stallions. Yeah. But then it is Wild Stallions and Bill and Ted are wild. I mean, it could have been Death. Imagine that if it was Death who wrote the song that united everyone. That'd have been great.
Too pale to cry, change the world, save the universe.
Yeah, I do like that. The thing I liked about it as well, like, because you were just saying about the daughters going back, I felt like, again, in the way that they were giving you everything you loved from Bill and Ted films, the daughters seemed to be doing the first film stuff, Excellent Adventure, and Bill and Ted were doing a bit of Bogus Journey and a bit of Excellent Adventure as well, so I just thought it, and it was sort of just flipping back between the two, and it just, it was so much fun. I think this might be my favourite one. This could be my favourite Bill and Ted film.
I was trying to think, right, because I don't tend to do that because it just, it gives me a headache. If I like it, I like it. But for me, I was sitting there when I watched that one. I'm going to have to go back and watch the other two. So I watched them, and then I was like, you know what? I was like, at the time, I was thinking, I think from favourite to least favourite, even though I love all three, like it goes 1, 3, 2. But then when I watched it again the other night, I was thinking that as well. I was like, am I okay to say it? I think this might be my favourite one. I feel like I might be being a bit unfaithful to the first one. But
Bogus Journey was my favourite, but like I think it always has been. But I haven't watched it recently. I'm going to have to get the VHS out.
Well, I had to buy one of them. The other one was on TV, so I watched it. But I think Bogus Journey was the first one I watched.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I saw the first one, I thought it was the second one. I was very confused by the situation. But I remember being scared of Bogus Journey.
Oh, Bogus Journey was it's really scary. I mean, the hell bits in that are really scary. This hell is just, they're just welcome there. And everyone, I like how everyone goes to hell. Like Mozart,
Yeah.
Louis Armstrong, just everyone just immediately goes to hell. There doesn't seem to be a heaven in this. Oh, there was in Bogus Journey, wasn't there? but no one goes to heaven anymore. Like, it's just that everyone just gets rid of hell. But hell's where you want to be anyway, because death's cool.
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
You want death as a friend.
I also, the one thing that I actually I looked up, which I thought was weird, was Ling Lun.
Yeah, I looked her up as well.
I was like, who is that? Like, what? I just assumed the caveman was a caveman, because by the time you get to that stage, yeah, it's ridiculous. But yeah, Ling Lun, the founder of, commonly known as the founder of Chinese music, but no one knows whether or not that's a male or a female person.
But what I could get from her, I had to look her up. I think it's sort of like, apart from like the Robin from the rich to give to the poor, like she's sort of like a Robin Hood kind of. No one knows if, like you said, if it was he or she, or if they actually existed.
Yeah,
they don't know how much of a truth is in it. It's like kind of like a Mulan sort of figure. But what I love, because I'm not like a massive fan of modern music and pop culture, and I'm not. But I loved how Kid Cudi. I've heard.
I had to look up Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi and Ling Lun are the two people that I didn't know for that. Guess our ages, kids.
Yeah, I'd heard the name, but like I've not like I don't know anything about him. But I love how he's just like genius physicist sort of. Like,
I actually listened to.
Excuse me, Mr. Kid Cudi, and like they're asking him to like.
I listened to what he said the second time through, and I'm like, that's just nonsense. It's just more nonsense. It's just words that sound vaguely quantum sciencey and stuff like that, or physicky. It's just like, excuse me, Kid Cudi, I don't mean to step in, but we've only got 4 minutes to save the world.
Yeah.
I love how Ted becomes an eternal being. There's probably loads I'm missing out here because I just love this film. And I can't get beyond that. I can't get beyond my excitement for this film to really sort of articulate what it is that I want to say about it. But it's beautiful.
Yeah. One thing I will say, and again, you'll probably know this, but I just thought I'd quite kind of sound a bit fun. So, what's the one thing that these 6 people have in common? You might know where I'm going with this.
John's Trivia Corner.
So what is the one thing that Kimberly Cates, Diane Franklin, Annette Azcoy, I don't know if I'm saying her name right, Sarah Trigger, Jayma Mays, and Erin Hayes have in common?
Keanu Reeves has fucked them all? I don't even know who they are.
They are the princesses.
Oh, they are, right?
The princesses were played. They were played
right.
by different women.
Right enough, they were, right? They were playing different women first and second, yeah. I didn't even pick up on that. Death is played by the same person, isn't he? Or is that...
Death, Sadler.
Oh, I forget now. Yeah, William Sadler. Yeah.
Because I know the actress Jayma Mays. I know her. She's been in a few things I've seen. And I was like, she wasn't in the others. What she? So I went back. I was like, oh no, she wasn't in the first one. And then something else happened, and I read a bit of trivia, and I was like,
John's Trivia Corner.
Every film, they were different. Every single film, they were different. And I mean, no disrespect, but I haven't really heard of any of them, apart from Jayma Mays. I'm not really familiar with any of them.
I don't know. The other thing I was going to mention is, well, you said that there was a slight historical blip that made you sort of step and go, that's not right. The thing that took me out of it was every time anyone's playing an instrument. No one's playing any of those instruments on the screen, but that's fine. You just have to suspend your disbelief because it's so good.
Definitely. But even like silly things, because I always thought Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter look believable. And I don't know about Alex Winter, and I don't know. I'm sure Keanu Reeves is in a band, or he was in a band, or he does music. I don't know what he plays.
He does play, yeah. I think he plays bass. Does he not, Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, but you look believable. So like I thought he always did.
Yeah, he wasn't though at the end, like at the end scene. I know it was when the old Bills and Teds when they do that. Oh, the end credit scene. Did you see that? You did see that, didn't you? You stayed to the end of the credits, didn't you?
Oh, I think I might have missed the end credit scene.
Oh, there's an end credit scene, Sean. Oh. Good job we're in spoilers, but yeah, there's an end credit scene. Oh, you come in here trying to review films and you haven't even seen the whole film.
Well, I have. Let's be honest. If it was meant to be in the film, it would be in the film.
Aye, it comes before the credits. It's meant to be in the film.
Iron Man in it.
Cool.
We'll have to watch that.
Anything else, or should we?
I've got a couple of bits of trivia.
Sean's Trivia Corner. Okay.
I looked for loads of trivia, but I couldn't really find it. I've lost it. Where are they? Oh, there we go.
Like I say, I just finished watching this before I rang you.
Well, there's only 2 bits. I mean, they're not like trivia. There's not a lot of trivia. It's just more kind of like, oh, cool. So when they're told in the film that they've got 77 minutes to save the universe, there's 77 minutes left of runtime.
Yep, I noticed that.
So
yeah,
it plays in. And Samara Weaving, who plays
Thea.
Yeah, she is Hugo Weaving's niece, and Hugo Weaving was in The Matrix with Keanu Reeves, and apparently that's not how she got the role, but that kind of
greased the doors, did it?
Yeah, it sort of like ingratiated her into Keanu Reeves. Is sort of like, oh yeah, I know your uncle. I've worked with your uncle.
I really hope that he phoned him up and said, "Mr. Anderson."
You have 2 choices. That's my niece. Or you don't.
Nice.
Right. Well, that was Bill and Ted's face.
That's Bill and Ted. I've only got one more thing. Like I was going to ask you, because of all these things that are coming out, we got Bill and Ted. This current spate of reboots that we've got going on, not reboot sequels. What other franchise would you want to see given this treatment from your childhood, or is there anything?
Ooh.
Because we've had Cobra Kai, we've got this.
Yeah.
What else do we want?
Both working. There's going to be another a continuation of the Ghostbusters.
Right.
That was meant to come out last year, I think.
Yeah. Kevin Smith is he is currently working on Masters of the Universe for Netflix as well.
Ooh.
It's a series live action. I think it is live action. Oh no, animated series for Netflix. I think it is. So yeah, there's that.
I don't know, because I know there's a film that I love. I think it's the 80s. Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah. Oh, I love that film. That would be cool now.
I think.
It'd be so cheap as well. It'd all be green screen CGI. Just put them in a room, work on a volume.
Because even back then, the effects were amazing. Because I'm always for the mind of like, I don't think any film can be remade, but I don't mind remakes.
No,
I can. It doesn't bother me if they're rubbish. They're rubbish. It's fine. But I think that's one film that they could remake because I love it. You said you love it. I don't know if a lot of people are aware of it. When I mention it to people, not many people know it.
There was a lot of films of that ilk around about that time. Like so your Short Circuits, Flight of the Navigator. Yeah, there's that. I would love to see a continuation of Neverending Story. I even loved the second Neverending Story.
Do you know what? I've watched the first one maybe once in my entire life.
Really?
That's it.
Oh, Atreyu, Falcor! If you didn't cry at that, you're dead inside. Like they actually lowered a horse into a pit. I think they may have killed.
I think that's why I haven't watched it much because I did not like that. I hate that scene.
Gamork traumatized my childhood. Just from the cave, I used to that was the devil under my bed. That's what that was. So I'd love to see that. And Brave Star as a cartoon, Brave Star. I want Brave Star back.
I don't know if I know.
You know, check it out. Check out Brave Star. That's not a trade-off for a tip, but give yourself a treat. He's got a sentient talking horse. Brave Star. He's a space cowboy, and his horse stands on 2 legs and talks to him, and that's great. And he's got different methods. He can do strength of a bear and all that.
Going back to I've just had a thought. Go back to your question. I honestly think a continuation of the Goonies could work.
Yeah.
Obviously, depending on how they do it, but
I'm going to drop another controversial thing. I don't really like the Goonies all that much.
I love the Goonies. Absolutely love it. I think I absolutely love the Goonies. There's films where I'm like, oh, I wonder what those characters could be doing now.
I would definitely want to see Thanos coming back in that, and Samwise.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that when you get those 2 back in Goonies?
Oh,
yeah, I'm with you now. I'm in. But yeah, Bill and Ted Face the Music. It's not the greatest film in the world. It is just a tribute. but it's brilliant.
What you said last week about Speed 2, how it's a decent action film at sea sort of thing, but it's a bad speed sequel.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the opposite of this one. This isn't an amazing film, but it's a brilliant Bill and Ted.
Yeah. Absolutely. If you enjoyed this one, you may be interested to know that this was just a small part of a larger waffle that we do every 2 weeks. You'll be able to find that wherever you found this one, hopefully. You'll also be able to follow us on all of our social media platforms linked below. And if you want to get in touch with us, please feel free to do so anytime you like. You can reach out on social media, or you can email us at w.a.f.f.l.e.podd@gmail.com. Goodbye.